Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session, which is being recorded for the Scottish Digital Health and Care event, DigiFest 2020. DigiFest is taking place in December this year, and this session is being broadcast on Thursday, 3rd of December 2020. The overall theme for the day is Digital Maturity, Reaching Our Ambitions. Although this is a recording, it is possible to add your questions to the chat, and we will be monitoring the chat during the broadcast on December 3rd. And we will get back to you with answers to any questions you may pose about the twinning. This session is an opportunity to share with you a Digital Telecare Journey, insights from international knowledge exchange between Norway, Spain and Scotland. And this session is going to focus on the Digital Telecare Twinning project funded by Digital Health Europe. Partners from Norway, Spain and Scotland were involved in this virtual twinning process, and we're going to share our learning from our respective analogue to digital telecare journeys as we work together to co-produce a digital telecare roadmap for European regions. Digital Health Europe is a project that is funded under Horizon 2020 programme. It's a coordination and support action, which means that the project will initiate a number of different actions which will support digital health and care innovation to scale up across Europe. The project's approach involves a number of actions that will boost and advance the digital single market priorities for digital transformation in health and care, as outlined in the European Commission's 2018 communication on this topic. The project has been running since January 2019 and will conclude in June 2021. It has a number of projects, partners across Europe with an enormous outreach across European regions. This is a brief overview of the project, and its main objective is really to support the deployment of digital solutions for person-centred integrated care. And it will do this through a number of initiatives. And one of those initiatives and instruments is matchmaking and a twinning support scheme, of which this Digital Telecare project is one of them. Support to digital health and care innovation will be through a number of multi-stakeholder communities, and they can collaborate through collaboration platforms that focus on citizen secure access to and sharing of health data, better data to promote research, disease prevention and personalised health and care, and digital tools for citizen empowerment and person-centred care. And this twinning, as we say, is one of these twinning actions. The partners involved in the Digital Telecare Twinning application are ADGER region from Norway, Andalusia from Spain, and Scotland from United Kingdom. And the budget for this partial adoption twinning is €17,000. We began work in July 2020, and we are aiming to conclude by April 2021. The objectives of the Telecare Twinning are that we will share our respective experiences and learning in our journeys towards implementing digital telecare. We'll hear from the regions in more detail shortly about where we're at on those journeys. And the interesting thing is that we're all in very different places, which really does maximise the opportunity for us to learn from each other. Our knowledge transfer activities are going to focus on 4 different aspects, important aspects, I should say, of digital telecare service design. That's citizen-centric focus, sustainable business models, digital security and vulnerability, and also we're going to look at seamless service models for digital telecare and telehealth, where these 2 services will merge. We hope, as outputs of the twinning, to produce a generic digital telecare roadmap that will be of interest, we hope, and use to other regions that are also embarking on this journey. And we also look to co-produce a citizen pathway for digital telecare as part of the work that's going on in Scotland. I'm going to hand over now to our colleague from ADGER, who is going to take us through the current state of play, with Telecare in Norway.
Thank you. My name is Kjetil Løyning, and I'm Project Manager eHealth Agder 2030. With me, I have Silje Skeiestrai, Project Manager Digital Telecare. In Norway, we are approximately 5.3 million citizens. Agder is in the southern part of Norway. The Agder region consists of 25 municipalities and 300,000 citizens. We have established a regional coordination group for eHealth and welfare technology, which involves administrative as well as political decision makers. This structure is crucial to ensure the involvement, buy-in, and implementation of digital solutions in the region. We participate in the National Welfare Technology Program, which has the goal within 2020 welfare technology integrated in primary healthcare in Norway. The national program has come with practical tools and methods in service innovation, financial support, and national recommendations and demands.
In Agder, we have established several joint projects. We conducted a joint procurement on behalf of the region. Based on the national recommendations, the procurement contained digital and safety alarms, GPS or location technology, digital surveillance or night camera, sensor technology, e-lock, and electronic medicine dispensers. We established a joint response center, and we are carrying out a joint project for the implementation of Digital Telecare.
In telehealth or digital home follow-up, we have several years of experience. We participated in 2013 to 2016 in the EU project United for Health, then with a focus on COPD. Furthermore, we carried out the TELMA project from 2016 to 2019. We are now participating in the National Welfare Technology Program until 2021. We have also participated in an urgent call from the Norwegian Research Council due to the COVID-19 DPAR, Digital Infrastructure for Robust and Scalable Patient Monitoring in Pandemic. We are trying to develop a comprehensive service model, a merge of digital telecare and digital telehealth that encompass both telecare and telemedicine, both technically and relation to the service.
Thank you, Kjetil. Okay, we're now going to move on to our colleagues in Andalusia, who are going to tell us about their service. Jose?
Thank you, Donna. Hello, my name is Jose Vargas. I am the head of the Andalusian Telecare Service. I would like to introduce a little bit Andalusia, which is a region with 8 provinces, 87,000 square meters, and a population of about 8.4 million inhabitants, where about 1.4 million are over 60 years of age. The Andalusian Telecare Service is a public service provided by the regional government of Andalusia. Nowadays, there are 2 call centers, one in Seville and the other one in Malaga. They both provide services to the whole region and work as a backup for each other, with more than 250 operators and 600 workers altogether. The service started in 2000 as a pilot project, and it has exponentially grown to more than 236,000 users nowadays. We handle more than 17,000 calls a day. The main feature of the service is that it's a proactive service, preventing isolation and well-being at home. That is why we handle a greater number of outgoing calls than incoming ones. If you want to be a telecare user, you have 3 ways of accessing to the service. The first one is being people 65 plus age, and you have to hold the Junta 65 card, which is a card provided by the regional government. The second one is being people with disabilities. And the last one, if you are a dependent people, with the service provided as such as their benefit scheme. Next slide, please. As you can see in this slide, and I told you before, the telecare service in Andalusia started in 2000 as a basic service with a home care devices and a pendant. Everything was based on analog services, making use of the basic phone network and DTMF protocols. Later on, and with the arrival of the digital phone lines, we had to introduce a STMF protocol for digital lines and advanced telecare service such as mobile telecare ones, were based on GSM communication. At this moment, there are more than 7,500 users with mobile telecare. Today, our main challenge in terms of digitalizations is to prepare for the analog blackout. And this is the reason why we have a public procurement in order to buy a massive number of digital telecare devices and associated services based on GSM and IP communication.
Thank you, Jose. We're now going to move on to hear from Scotland.
Thanks, Donna. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anne Murray. I'm the Telecare Lead for the Scottish Government's Technology Enabled Care programme. Just a little bit about telecare services in Scotland. Currently, we have around 182,000 people who receive telecare in Scotland. Around 45,000 of those will receive it through their housing association, their housing cooperative, or another provider. And the majority, around 137,000, receive their service through their local integrated authority. Telecare provision continues to increase in Scotland, and in the last few years we've seen a particular increase in the provision of more complex technologies. The majority of people who receive telecare in Scotland are older people. However, it's important to note that around 13% are aged between 18 and 64, so it's not just a service for older people. Telecare is widely available in Scotland, and we know that on average around 20% of people over the age of 75 have telecare, although that varies a bit from area to area. Every one of our 32 local authority areas provide a telecare service, and we have 22 alarm receiving centres in Scotland, and the call handlers there manage around 5 million alarm calls every year. So it's a well-used service and essential to many. Could I have the next slide, please, Donna? Thanks. So in terms of our transition to digital telecare, back in 2017, the Technology Enabled Care programme funded the creation of a digital telecare team to lead on and support the transition to digital telecare across Scotland. For the last couple of years, the digital telecare team have worked with a small group of funded early adopter telecare service providers to really identify the requirements for a smooth and safe transition to digital. Now, this collaboration has enabled the creation of the Digital Telecare Playbook, which is an online, very comprehensive guide for all services who are embarking on their digital telecare transformation. And this has been a key aspect of our approach in Scotland. So, of that group of early adopters, it looks like our colleagues in Falkirk Health and Social Care Partnership are going to be our first service to go live, hopefully this year. So we're very excited about that. And we've just recently Tech has just funded a further 21 telecare service providers to continue or to progress their transition to digital telecare and really accelerate our move towards digital telecare in Scotland. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you, Anne. So we've heard now from the 3 partner regions who, as I said at the start, are in very different places on their digital telecare journeys, which has really paved the way for a very fruitful partnership in terms of our knowledge exchange activities. So we started this twinning process back in August 2020, where we set up our twinning project team to go about trying to really plan out how we were going to deliver our twinning activities in the context of COVID-19. In a traditional twinning environment, we would normally start to share knowledge and background information about the different regions and their services before usually having some form of face-to-face activities that would facilitate that ongoing discussion and exchange of more in-depth specific information relevant to the topic. In this current climate in 2020, we have not been able to do that. So that presented a little challenge, I think, for the project team as to how we were going to design and deliver knowledge exchange activities that would still deliver a degree of insight and awareness of each other's current services and our ambitions, and also enable that exchange of learning and information that can be mutually beneficial to all. So we came up with a step change plan where we set the scene really for, and the baseline, I suppose, exchange of information in September and October, which was very much around us mapping our current state of play and involving the correct stakeholders from the regions in those knowledge exchange activities. And we also identified some key topics where we wanted to really delve down deeper into particular aspects of Digital Telecare Journey. We're now here in November 20 in this next phase where we have been exchanging more in-depth knowledge around particular topics that we'd have identified. And we'll come on to explain a little more about those in a moment. We'll move on in sort of February time to look at then what have we learned, and is there actually anything that we've learned from each other that we can adopt and adapt for our own purposes in each region. So that's the potential adaptation. And we'll be working between then and now with a view to, by April 21, publishing our Digital Telecare Roadmap and the Citizen Pathway that is being built in Scotland. So that's the twinning process. So what we're keen to do now is just reflect really a little on the outputs of the first 2 knowledge exchange workshops. So in October, we just really set the scene, as we were saying before, about really establishing that baseline of information about each other and identifying those further topics. And then most recently, just a week ago, we held our second workshop, which started to look in more detail into telecare service redesign. So that's redesign of analogue telecare services with a view to becoming digital, and how we are managing that transition period. And that delved down into a number of aspects, including we heard from Andalusia about their proactive response service models. We spoke a little about service design standards and redesign methodologies. For the second part of that workshop, we also looked at digital telecare data and technical standards and delved down much further into cybersecurity and started to get touch on some of the technical aspects that are very complex. And indeed, we decided that we would follow up on that particular topic in more detail so that we can engage the correct technical actors in that session. So that's the first kind of set of workshops that we have delivered so far. Now we're going to move on at this point and go back and hear from our colleagues in the regions about their own reflections on their experience of the twinning from August until now, because we've reached really that midway point in it. So this is about just us reflecting what we've learned and what we feel about the benefits potentially of the twinning. So I'm going to hand back at this point to our colleagues in Agder.
Thank you, Donna. From Agder, we have participated with these experts: Call Center Telecare Agder, Digital Telecare Regional Project Manager, and also Project Manager Digital Telehealth, and me as a Program Manager eHealth Agder 2030. We had also participants from the University of Agder and a Project Manager from Agder Living Lab. Our participation in the Digital Twin with these regional project manager will be very important input on the further development of digital services in Agder and in Norway.
We have so far learned that the proactive operation of Ana Lucia's response center can relieve pressure on the primary and secondary health services. Further variation related to staffing at the response center related to the season. Exciting to see how others regions work with the challenges associated with cyber security. Inspiring to share experience with the best expert in Europe on this field. Our benefits so far of being a part of the twinning has been learning about the operation of the response center and what and how services can be provided. Learning about the business model for large-scale response center. Further staying up to date on how other regions and countries outside Scandinavia organize and develop response center services.
Great, thank you, Celia. And we're now going to hear from our colleagues in Andalusia about their reflections on the twinning.
Hi, this is Pablo Quiñones. I'm working as a project manager within the Andalusian Telecare service. There's been quite a few people involved so far in the twinnings, ranging from technical people from the IT department to people who are working with protocols and training within the service, project management, and sort of all coming together to see what can we change with the other regions and learn from. So in that perspective, we so far got a better understanding of the different telecare management systems in Scotland and Agder. It was quite interesting to see how the different approaches and ways of working each of us have in their respective regions. Also, it was very nice to see, because we are now in the middle of the process of becoming digital, with a huge public procurement and things like this. So it was also very interesting to see a comprehensive overview of the Scottish Digital Telecare roadmap that sort of provide a fair overview of the different steps that they are having in this journey. We also have the chance to go and learn in detail digital security, which is an important issue, even know more than we are moving towards the digital telecare service. And it was something that we need to sort of get our hands into, because it was quite a number of things that we need to take into account by listening to other experts' experience. And also new approaches for sustainable business models for digital telecare services, which is, as I mentioned before, we have 3 different regions. Each of us has their own way of working, and I think it's quite interesting to see how we approach each of the different topics. And then how we benefit from the twinning so far, I think it was quite a good exercise so far. We have 2 workshops where our experts were involved and they had the chance to talk and exchange different points of views on the digital transformation. And this is only the beginning. There are a lot of questions and feedback that we are working at the moment. And I think it's quite a lot of work to do there, because we pinpoint sort of the main things that we need to work into, and then they provided a lot of feedback, and this feedback needs to be sort of like taken into account once we brought it home from the other experts from the other regions. Then assessing our own digitalization process and screening against the different schemes from other regions for potential improvements and lessons. As I mentioned before, we have different approaches, and every time we listen to someone else, how they do things and how the problems they face and so on, we sort of something clicks and then realize that there is an improvement there. Team working to tackle similar problems, I think we're not only exchanging ideas, but I think we are building up a strong relation between people working in this project and sort of helping each other as much as we can. So it sort of is to, sort of a community at the end of the day, where we have experts and people who professionally involved in the same sort of issues, problems, day-to-day things that we need to manage, and it's really helpful as well. So we hope this will lead to future joint collaborations and projects with common objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Pablo, and we do as well, believe you me. Okay, and finally, I'm just going to pass over to our colleagues from Scotland to hear their reflections on the twinning so far.
Thank you very much, Donna. So I'm Thomas Ozers, a project manager in the Digital Telecare team in the Digital Office for Scottish Local Government. So first, I wanted to start by talking a little bit about the people who have been involved in the project from Scotland. As we heard earlier, there is quite a mixed picture in Scotland at the moment in terms of the progress different telecare providers are making in their transition to digital telecare. And we were really keen to represent this with the makeup of the Scottish contingent and to ensure that we got a really good range of people from partnerships at different stages, as we knew that they would get different things out of this process. And we've been really fortunate to be joined by 4 fantastic colleagues. Representing the slightly more developed ends of the spectrum, you have Falkirk and Edinburgh, both who are quite far along their journey. And as we heard, we're expecting Falkirk to go live with some users in the near future. And then we have Angus and East Renfrewshire, who are both at slightly earlier stages. So we were really hoping that this combination of different partnerships would add a lot of value and help us maximize the benefit. So if we could move on to the next slide, please. So in terms of learning and benefits, I am going to echo very clearly what we've already heard from Agda and Lucia. And I decided to approach an overview of what we've gained so far, kind of by rolling this all into one. So one of our key reasons for wanting to get involved in the Twinning project was the fantastic opportunity to learn from Agda and Lucia. And this is really where the benefit comes in for us and where our key learnings are so far. So it is amazing to get to explore and to learn more about how Agda delivered digital telecare and to be able to learn from a service who have already gone through the transition. And in particular, so far, their detailed information about the approach they took to service redesign and the different charging structures they use has been massively helpful. Now, Andalusia are in a slightly different position to Scotland. So they're maybe still at a slightly earlier stage, but their general approach to telecare delivery is incredibly innovative, and it employs a far more proactive model than anything currently deployed in Scotland. And it has been enormously beneficial so far, learning more about things like their outbound calling and how they use this to improve outcomes for citizens. And then I think the final thing we saw as a major benefit of getting involved was the opportunity to share some of our ideas and to receive feedback on them. So it was really great to present the roadmap to digital telecare, which informed our playbook, and to receive really useful feedback. For instance, Agda highlighting the need to ensure that you build in iteration into your process for when you come across challenges and need to go back over them. And it was really great to be able to introduce some of our best practice, like Dr. Andy Grayland talking about cybersecurity. And as we've heard, that's already going to spin off further discussions, which I'm sure will be valuable for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. So we've heard from all three regions really a very positive picture, I think, about the learning so far, which is very, very, I suppose, reassuring in the sense that we have tried to make sure that we have not been compromised, I suppose, by having to make these opportunities just virtual. So it is possible, I think, is a key message to really exchange knowledge and learning in a virtual way, in a meaningful virtual way. So in terms of next steps, we do have another 3 workshops planned. So we're again drilling down into that list of additional topics that we had identified back in October. So our next workshop will look at digital telecare call centres and very specifically some of the technical changes that are required within those centres, as well as a really important aspect of workforce skills and training, amongst other things. In January, we'll be moving on to look at that citizen focus in more depth, particularly where citizens are bringing their own devices and service models that support that. And a really important topic around digital literacy, which we're seeing a lot of discussion around just now, this challenge of people needing to have appropriate digital skills in order for them to be able to utilize the digital services that are becoming more commonly offered to them. So we'll be looking at that. And the final part of that workshop will be also looking at this meld between digital telecare and telehealth and the sustainable service models that can support that. And as I said earlier, we will be then moving on to looking at producing 2 project outputs, so the Digital Telecare Roadmap and the Citizen Pathway for Digital Telecare. So this workshop has really reflected on our progress so far. We're halfway through this twinning, as I mentioned earlier, and we will be, at the end of the project, hosting workshops in all 3 regions. It may well be that they will also be virtual, but in an ideal world, they would involve physical sessions where we can invite our local telecare actors to come and hear in more depth about the lessons that have been learned, and also really that focused learning where we've been able to analyse what we've learned and put that learning into the context of our own regions' requirements and needs, with a view to supporting our own transition towards digital telecare. So those workshops will occur in April, and they will be recorded and they will be made available to others. So we're really hoping to disseminate all of the learning, not only within our own regions, but across Europe through our Digital Health Europe network of partners. So if you would like further information on the project, you can go to the Digital Health Europe project website. And indeed, if you would like more information about this particular twinning in more detail, so you have any questions about what we've learned so far, anything that you would like to know more about, please do contact Nessa Barry, and her email address is on screen now. So I'd really just like to sum up now by saying thank you very much for your attention. And we hope that you enjoy the session, and please do put any questions that you have into the chat function when you listen to it on 3rd December, and we'll follow up with you from there. Thank you very, very much for your attention, and we hope you enjoy DigiFest.